I mean, it's all to do with the material in the script, to back up the script. The fundamental material was written by Chips, Tom's dad. His dad is a copywriter. I've known Tom since Black Hawk. I think I gave Tom his first acting gig on Black Hawk. And from Black Hawk, we had a good relationship. But I noticed how talented he was. And, you know, talent is intuition. And intuition, you've got intuition. You either got it, you learn to blossom it, or you don't. And Tom's intuition, I noticed, just worked. And he had a smaller part with Ewan Bremner. They're the pair that got lost. The buffoons. It's true. These guys actually got lost. And it was fun because I could take them out in the morning in Saleh and fundamentally make stuff up as we went along, because we kind of fundamentally owned the town at that point. And so we had fun, and by that I mean that Tom, in many respects, was a free agent. So there was, when you don't write a lot of that stuff, you just shoot it on the morning and on the day. You say we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So from that, I noticed that he's got great intuition. Then I watched him evolve. I think the next time I really noticed him, he did a Bill Sykes in a very good piece of television, and I thought, this guy's really coming along. Next thing is, he and his dad kind of said, did I want to do this? Because I have a company called Scot-Free.
What sort of date was that when they came to you?
It's a while ago now. It's about 4 years, because between that and then getting the finance and getting it sold, and is that all right? That was good. Great, yeah. Getting it sold, and the yada that goes on to get a TV series going. I've right now got 7 TV shows, and so you learn the process, but it still takes forever to get moving.
Worse than movies?
Sorry?
Not worse than movies, surely.
About as bad. And I still have to earn the movie. I've still got to prove that I can do it and what I want. I've still got to pitch it. There's not just ringing a bell and they say, oh yeah, we want to do the movie. It's all about finance.
Was there any consideration for this because it's BBC and FX? Was there any point at which that made a difference?
No, you know, BBC are one of the biggest, grandest of all the television companies. It's been going the longest, I think. FX is a very excellent American company where there's been that evolution or revolution of things that have come out from Netflix, and HBO really started off as a really high-end independent view away from the norm. And I think all these other companies have evolved away from the norm, and one or two of them have proved to be really have grown and been very, very good. So FX is probably one of those now defined as one of the best. So we're lucky to be with it.
Is it easier to do good work on television now than in cinema?
It's easy to do good work. It's hard to do good work because it's really hard to write it.
It's so long.
So the hardest single thing to do is choose what you're going to do and get it written. To make it, from my point of view, is easy. Once I got it on paper, to make a film is easy. But the hardest thing to do, and I spend all my time developing material. So I spend all my time with writers, talking to writers, evolving all the time to get material I may want to do or material that I want to produce for the company, because that's my job. That's what I do. But I never attempt to write because I could never write as well as the writers I can now afford to pay. So, and not only that, enables me to keep my distance. So I'm become a better critic of what's happening. It's all about keeping your distance.
When Tom and Chips came to you with this idea, was there a sense of this is the story we want to tell across 8 episodes, or was it this is our game plan and we have a huge...
No, Chips' bottom line was pretty definitive. And he had cross-collateralized on the 3 continents. He cross-collateralized on a mysterious story out of Africa, an evolution of his legacy in West Coast America, and the son who would return, the wife, the daughter. That was all kind of in there. And that's why I was really impressed by what was a pitch I think the pitch was about 10 pages, but 10 pages were very detailed. And you could go from that, and therefore from that, we could go to someone like Steve Knight, who's I think one of our best playwrights, to have him then come in, get involved, evolve that into a Bible. A Bible is what you plan to do for television. You write a Bible. If you're doing 10 or 8 series or mini-series, you're going to write that Bible. If the show's going to go on, you're going to write beyond the 8 or 10 and say, right, and then at the end of the first series, we now know what will happen in the next series if FX and BBC choose to do it.
So you feel there's a longer story to be told?
Oh, completely. This 7 hours won't be the end of that, will be the beginning. Yeah.
Something I was curious about is, was there ever any consideration that you might direct this, or just directing television right now appeal to you at all? 'Cause I know
Totally. It's all to do with the material. I mean, I haven't done a TV commercial since the last one commercial I did was for Steve Jobs. I did this thing called 1984, and that was a worthwhile doing because I can spot it on paper. I didn't know what Apple was. I thought it was the Beatles. And I said, what's this computer? I said, how much is a computer? He said, what, domestic computer? I said, yeah, for what? Writing the shopping list. How wrong I was. And he said, how much? $2,500. This is where I was right. I said, that's way too expensive. Because that's what it proved to be. And that's where Jobs lost his company. Because Scully came in and said, these computers are too expensive. But then Jobs, amazing. Then spent the next 6 years getting it back. So, commercial, I did good film. I did a pilot for television 5 years ago called The Vatican, which I wish had gone to series because it was fun. It was really interesting to do in Rome. But I think they've just done one now, Jude Law.
Jude Law, the young Pope.
Have you seen it?
I've seen that, yeah.
No, is it any good?
Yeah.
So,
Similar ground.
Was it comedic?
No. Well, no, it's a very deep, dark sense of humour. Yeah.
Because I think they'll do. If they're doing 6, or that's it.
It'll be back from all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's such a great subject. The Vatican, fantastic. We may do one. Nevertheless, we're having it written pilot right now. But ours was my Pope was Bruno Ganz, who was fantastic. And so that idea of going into that institution is not, I hate using the word target, but as to examine is kind of interesting. Yeah.
Are you interested in the concept of the hero, thinking of Alien and Red Egg and so on? And do you feel a responsibility to the culture and the heroic figures you put out there as a director or producer?
I think the hero or central character, the most important character, is going to push along the story. But there's one story recently, actually one of the best scripts around there, which I'm not doing, was evolved by somebody else. And honestly, the hero is a monster. But you wouldn't call him a hero. He's the most interesting person in the script. If you want to call that a hero, then that's the hero. He's the driving force in the story. But he's a monster, a real-life monster. I don't mean a killer, I don't mean a murderer.
Who was that?
I'm not going to tell you because I can't, because I shouldn't. But a businessman, and it was and it's fantastic. And the
not the McDonald's guy.
Sorry?
Not the man who invented McDonald's hamburger.
Oh no. But you might go along with that, saying, look at that, what that brought us bad health. Okay. But a monster of business and that so it's not you're not going to attach the hero to it. You're going to attach to it the driving force as the reason why you're watching the film.
Is that the same with Taboo? Do you think is that
it's a bit like,
he's not a hero, but
he's James Delaney a hero?
Yeah, but I think that will evolve into 7 other hours where you'll see the reason why, and therefore he is sympathetic. You wouldn't call Hannibal Lecter sympathetic, would you?
No.
And yet Hannibal Lecter is the reason why. I did a remake. That's number 2, was it called? Hannibal. mainly because the book was so much fun. But I saw the thing as humorous. But they didn't think it was humorous, but it did well enough. No, people got it.
Yeah.
People got it. Yeah.
Do you find that you mentioned earlier briefly about like Netflix and Amazon Prime,
Mostly fantastic.
so a lot of TV shows are becoming more appealing. I find a lot of people I know tend to binge watch TV shows rather than go to the cinema anymore.
Cinema mainly is pretty bad.
Are you quite concerned about the future of cinema?
I'm concerned about the fact that I want to keep doing cinema, and I hope it doesn't stop doing for those of us who still keep making smart films. I'm hoping it doesn't affect me, but I think we have to watch it because eventually it is actually. But then you get, and whenever anyone is successful, it's good for everyone. And so the film was the Harry Potter follow-through last weekend.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, Fantastic Beasts opened to $207 million. That's better than any industry. Film probably quite expensive. But I think I don't know what it costs, but I know my Gowan is Catherine Waterston is one of the stars, and she's in Covenant. But $207 million is a great 3-day weekend. Whichever industry you're in, that's a good weekend. So when that happens, it still keeps the revenue flowing in terms of those who want to invest in these kind of movies, right?
Would you see that? Would you watch that film?
No, it's not for me.
Would you watch a Marvel film?
Not really, not for me, because I think superhero movies are not my kind of thing. That's why I've never really done one.
You must have been asked.
Huh?
You must have been asked.
Oh yeah, several times. But I think I can't believe just in the thin gossamer tightrope of the non-reality of the situation of the superhero. But I think I've done that kind of movie like Alien and Blade Runner. Blade Runner really is a comic strip. When you think about it, it's a dark story told in an unreal world, which could all be, if I put in that world, that atmosphere, Batman or Superman, he'd fly, he'd work. Except I'd have a fucking good story. As opposed to no story, except a guy jumping off buildings. I shouldn't say that.
What's the with the new Alien movie? What's the tone with the new Alien movie? What's the tone you're looking to establish there? If you say
the new Alien movie is Covenant.
Yes.
Is multi-layered with some great characters, and I decided when I saw Alien finally succumb after 4 films, which is not bad, a good run. And then they also did Alien vs. Predator, which I thought, I think that's it. And then I waited a couple of years, and then I went back and said, I can resurrect it. Because what would you do? I said, no one's actually asked, why would you make such a thing and for what reason? No one actually asked us the 3 subsequent movies, which is kind of ridiculous. That's why good writers are frequently good writers, because they'll ask a basic question like that and make that into a scenario. So we did Prometheus. That heaved it off the ground. Covenant is a follow-through to Prometheus, so we now know who created this and why. And now the next one is being written now as to where you go next. So there's a joining up of the storyline, and it touches on mortality, immortality, and the real question of who created us.
God, but it can get deeper than that, doesn't it?
No, but it's a big question. Everyone asks the same question: who created us and why? And were we? When you go way back to the initial logic of now, 30 years ago. Somebody was saying there is nothing out there except us, which I thought was totally fucking ridiculous. I met a guy called Carl Sagan 30 years ago who said to me, surprisingly, as the premiere of Alien, he was invited and said to me, it's a movie. He said, but, it's entirely ridiculous. There'll be no aliens in my lifetime or your lifetime. And I said, lighten up, Carl, it's a movie. And but now NASA, well, I did a film recently where I had to deal with NASA all the time, Martian. They are in firm belief that actually there's millions of entities out there that are in some form of evolution, either equivalent to us, ahead of us, way behind us, whatever. There has to be, logically, there has to be. And so, therefore, we're not just a random accident, or we're not a random biological accident. And I don't believe we're random. I think there was some kind of decision being made because...
So you believe in God then?
No, but I believe in a higher force. So, and if we want to call it God, then it's God. But for you and I to be sitting here right now in this place, talking in this space, to be bacteriologically possible, would take trillions of correct decisions to be made randomly by nature, which of course is ridiculous.
It's monkeys like
I
Shakespeare.
wish Richard Dawkins was here.
He agrees. I think he agrees. Yeah.
So,